Hey, everyone. Unfortunately, I've got some bad news for the Philadelphia Eagles as we head into next week's Super Bowl. On the injury front, Philly could be missing a few key players, or at the very least, they might not be 100. So let's break it down, take a closer look at some of the injuries that could impact their performance. First up, let's talk about Landon Dickerson, their offensive guard. He's been dealing with the knee issue, which is obviously a big concern for their offensive line. Then you got Kenneth Gainwell, who's also facing both a concussion and a knee problem. Two things that could really limit his ability to contribute. Dallas Goedert, one of their top tight ends, has an ankle injury. That's a bit worrisome. And then there's Cam Jurgens, who's dealing with a back issue. It doesn't end there, though. There are four more injuries we need to mention. Mara has a shoulder problem. Devonta Smith is dealing with a hamstring injury. Brett on the offensive line has a knee injury, and even wide receiver Cove is struggling with a neck issue. Now, let's take a step back and remember what we discussed a couple of days ago. Andy Reid said the Chiefs are in a great spot injury-wise. In fact, he believes this is the healthiest the team has been all season, which is a great sign as we head into the biggest game of the year. The Chiefs have avoided any major injury setbacks, which should give them a clear edge in the Super Bowl. On the other hand, though, Philly has a lot to worry about. With Dickerson and Jurgens both dealing with injuries, they might not be able to field their full-strength offensive line. For a team like the Eagles that thrives on running the ball, this could be a massive problem. If those guys aren't at their best, it could completely change the game for them, and they might find themselves struggling to do what they do best, run the football. But before we get into the details, hit the subscribe button, like this video, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for your support. Now, back to the Eagles and their injuries. They're still hopeful that Jurgens and Dickerson will be able to play in the Super Bowl. But the question remains, will they be at full speed? That's really the big question mark here. You've probably heard coaches say it a million times, hurt versus injured. You play through pain if you're hurt, but if you're injured, that's a different story. So even if these guys are playing through their injuries, is the pain going to limit their performance? Nick Sirianni addressed this earlier this week when asked about Dickerson and Jurgens. Here's what he said. We'll see. I know how tough these guys are, how hard they work. These guys are playing through bumps and bruises, but they're relentlessly working to get themselves in the best shape they possibly can. He went on to say that he respects their toughness and the effort they're putting in to be ready for the game. It's clear that these guys are doing everything they can to be at their best, but at the end of the day, time will tell. Will they be able to push through the pain and play at a high level, or will the injuries hold them back? That's something we'll find out next Sunday. Let's take a moment to reflect on what happened in the NFC Championship game. Jurgens had been dealing with that back injury heading into the game, and Dickerson, who normally plays guard, started at center. Unfortunately, Dickerson ended up hurting his knee during the game, and the Eagles had to activate Jurgens as an emergency option. They didn't want to use him unless they had to. But when Dickerson went down, they had no choice but to put Jurgens in. Thankfully for Philly, Jurgens stepped up and the Eagles won convincingly. Sirianni talked about their toughness after the game, saying, "Toughness is a characteristic I value so much, both in life and in football. We've got a tough team, and these guys are tough as heck." One thing that could work in Philly's favor is the extra week off before the Super Bowl. Both teams have a bye week, and that extra rest could give Jurgens and Dickerson just enough time to get back to full strength. But even with the additional rest, the pain they're dealing with might still limit their ability to perform at their highest level. It's definitely something to keep an eye on as we get closer to game day. So, what do you all think? Should the Eagles be concerned about these injuries? Are they a big deal, or do you think they'll be okay? Let me know in the comments below. I want to hear your thoughts on this situation. Now, back to the game. We all know that the Eagles love to run the football. It's their bread and butter. They've got one of the best rushing attacks in the league, and they've been dominating in the trenches all season long. But if they don't have their full-strength offensive line, that could be a serious issue for them. Saquon Barkley has been fantastic this season, and the Eagles' offensive line was ranked the best in the NFL by Pro Football Focus. But here's the thing. If I'm Steve Spagnuolo and Andy Reid, I'm doing everything I can to force the Eagles to throw the football. I'm not going to let them beat me on the ground. I'd rather take my chances with Jalen Hurts trying to beat me through the air, especially with with the way the Chiefs defense has played this season. The Chiefs pass rush has been outstanding. And with Jalen Watson back in the secondary, I think the Chiefs are well equipped to handle Philly's passing game. The key to beating the Eagles, in my opinion, is stopping the run and forcing them to throw the football. What do you all think? Should the Chiefs focus on shutting down the run and putting the game in Hurts' hands? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And let me tell you something. Mahomes is a petty quarterback, and I love it. That man thrives off the outside noise. Every time someone doubts him, every time someone says he only wins because of the officials, that's just fuel for his fire. We've seen it time and time again. Playoff pretty pat is a thing. He loves proving people wrong. And guess what? Travis Kelce is the same way. You think he's going to let people say that the Chiefs are good only because of Roger Goodell? No chance. That's going to fire him up too. This team, they're listening to all the outside chatter. They know what people are saying about them. They know they're the villains of the NFL now, and they're fine with that. But here's the big difference. The Patriots were cheating. They had scandals, Spygate, Deflategate. The Chiefs, they're just winning football games. No funny business. This team is a product of great coaching, amazing talent, and a relentless work ethic. And when people try to discredit all of that and say it's because of the refs, it just makes them want to work harder to prove everyone wrong. And this brings me to the new perspective I want to offer. Think about it. Every game the Chiefs play now is being looked at under a microscope. Every call, every moment, every play. If the Chiefs win, the immediate narrative is, well, the refs gave them that game. It's like clockwork. But you know what? That's going to motivate this team. Every single guy in that locker room is hearing this, and they're pissed. They're not just going to accept being labeled as the refs team. They're going to go out there and prove it's not the refs. It's that they are just that good. And here's the kicker. If the Chiefs win the Super Bowl and make history with their third consecutive title, you can bet your bottom dollar Patrick Mahomes is going to have a few words for all the people who doubted them. I'm telling you right now, after that game, you'll hear a comment from Mahomes. It's like, we did this with our team. We did this with great coaching, and we proved to the world that we're one of the greatest teams in NFL history. It'll be a subtle jab at all the people who said it was the refs that got them here. And you know what? I'm here for it. Now, back to the Chiefs. All this talk about the refs, all this negativity, it's just fuel. The more people say we're only winning because of the officials, the more this team is going to push back and show what they're really made of. One win away from making history, and they're still being doubted. You know what? Let them doubt, because the Chiefs are just getting started. I want to hear from you guys. Do you think all this negativity is going to fuel the Chiefs to beat the Eagles and secure their place in history? Or do you think they'll just let it slide? Let me know in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching. Hit that like button, subscribe, and keep tuning in for more Chiefs coverage. Go Chiefs. Thanks for watching.